So folks, a quick introduction. Divya Kakkar is from Delhi. She is a mindset coach, and she is, even though she looks so young, but she's a very wise and mature person and very well spoken as well. Okay, and I have known her for a while now, and Divya is going to be talking about communication skills, how to improve your communication skills using psychological techniques. We learn about communication skills, normal, a lot of things that we get to read about on the internet, but this is going to be something which is very unconventional. Okay, so thank you very much, Divya. And before we go ahead, would you just like to give a brief introduction about yourself to the community?
Thank you, Sudhi, for giving me the opportunity too. Thanks a lot. These are such wonderful people. Thank you all for your warm welcome. So, my name is Divya Kakkar. I'm a mindset coach. I help professionals get to the subconscious roadblocks that they're facing in their career journey. It could be their subconscious blocks around growing or around money or around, past failures that they have met. So they could be feeling stuck around that. So I help professionals get past their roadblocks and grow in their careers. So that's a little bit about me. Prior to me entering the coaching industry, I was teaching in Amity University, Jaipur, and I'm so happy to be around all of you, and I'm so excited for the session that's going to start.
Wonderful.
Thank you all.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you again, Divya. So let's get started right away. Why do you think communication skills are so important for professional growth? Rather, how can one become an effective communicator, and what happens when one is not good in communications? What is your experience? What is your take on this?
Right. So Sudeep, I would say that communication can really make or break your career journey. That's what I believe in. And when talking about how can one become an effective communicator, so can I share a story with all of you here?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, this goes like there is this person who's having a bad time at work, and the AC is not working, and his boss has also given him a bad time at day to day. So he's really upset with his task and whatever has happened throughout the day. So he goes back home driving, and it was a rough drive also. So he goes back home and he meets his son, which he had asked to cut the grass for him, and he was expecting to spend some good time in the evening, which he did not get. Okay. So scenario one is where he just yells out at his son because the way he is feeling and the way that his son has not done the work that he was expecting. He gets very angry and he says rude things to his son. He says that you're good for nothing, and then we do a lot for you, you never pay back, and you're just good for nothing, things like that. To which his son also replies in anger that you can go do it for yourself and I'm not going to stay with you. I'm leaving the home. Okay. This is scenario one. Teenagers mostly behave like that. Okay. And scenario two could be he goes back home, he sees that the grass is not cut, and he gets upset, but he looks within himself that, okay, because of my inner state, my behavior or my responses could be different. So I need to check with myself that I'm angry and I need to be cautious about my behavior right now. And then he goes to his son, has a good talk. Why did you not cut the grass? To which his son replies that the machine was not working. And then they both fixed it together. They both cut the grass together and had a good time. So we see there could be two very different extreme situations that happen because of communication. Communication pattern one is when you just vent out everything that is inside you in front of the other person. And communication pattern two would be where you know your internal state and you communicate with that understanding. So according to me, Sudhi, when you say how can you become an effective communicator, the biggest factor would be understanding your own state of mind and detaching from your emotions at once, So when, for example, we are really happy, even if something wrong goes in the workplace, we are all happy about that. We can ignore things. So it's not mostly about the external things. It's mostly about our internal state of mind, how we react.
Yes.
So when we know how to control ourselves, control our emotions, then we also know how to communicate, because the anger will pass, the anxiety will fade, but the relationship that we are going to have with that person is going to last. And we can't spoil our relation with our boss. I think we all agree to this.
Yes.
Can you all type in agree if you do? This is Sudhi's style I'm picking.
Yes, yes. And I'll tell you what, this applies even at home. So if India has won the cricket match and then I take this was when Sakshi was much smaller. Okay,
Yeah.
India has won the match and then I take her studies. She does okay types. I'm still cool. And if India has lost the game and then I'm taking her studies,
So
then
true.
she's had it. So it took me a while to realize that I should separate the two. Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
And then there are, so this is all right. So this is how I deal with my own emotions and how I detach them. But
Right.
then there are people who I just don't like. Okay. And or the person just doesn't like me. There's no chemistry between the two of us.
Sure.
And many times this could be with bosses. Okay. Now,
Correct.
how does one communicate in such a situation? I'm sure many people want to know the answer to this question.
Right. So this is a very important question, and when we think of that in terms of, I'll just go a bit woo-woo. So we talk about magic, right? So we talk about things that we could magically do, and having a good conversation with a boss is just like that. So, but I want to tell you that everything that we have been accustomed to doesn't seem like magic, but we do have magic in ourselves, and empathy is one big magical technique that we can use. So putting ourselves in their shoes, this is cliche. I know everybody has heard this probably 100 times over, but it is really important to put yourself in their shoes. That is when you understand why are they behaving with you the way they are behaving with you. For example, if I were the boss, I would never see myself as a rude person. Okay. But if I see the other person being rude to other people, I would just make an opinion about them. I will never want to understand their side of the story. Right. So if I have a fight with my partner at home, I go to the workplace and I'm angry at other people, I just can tell my mind that it's okay. I've got an excuse. But we are not ready to give other people that benefit of doubt. They might also be going through certain things in their life. They might also be facing some emotional traumas. But I'm not asking you to become a therapist. I just want all of you to understand that it is their mindset and you have the power to get access to it. See, Carl Jung, he told that all of our subconscious mind is connected. When you say that I don't get a good vibe from this person, he's talking about vibrations, right? So when you say I am getting good vibes from this person, you are understanding or you're entering their mind, their aura. You're reading their energy blueprint. So when you say that you don't like somebody or somebody doesn't like you, you have to perform this technique called perceptual positioning. Okay.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah,
perceptual positioning.
Positioning. Yeah. So what you need to do is when you're sitting, you go grab a chair and put that in front of you. And then imagine that the person you're facing a conflict with is in front of you, sitting. Okay. So some people have a hard time understanding how can I put myself in their shoes. This is to do that. So you so you're sitting on this chair, you're person one. You stand up, physically stand up and go to the other chair, which is the chair two. And now you become the person two. You have the ability to get into their minds and telling you just do this. And you'll be able to notice the difference in your thoughts and behavior. Also, you'll get access to their belief system. So let's say we are calling this person John. Let's say this boss is John or this colleague, whoever you have a conflict with, right? So me as Divya, I would stand up and go to the chair number 2 in John's chair. And I would close my eyes and try to think what John thinks of me, what John thinks of Divya, who is in front of me, right?
So you're not, so sitting on that chair, you're not Divya, you're John.
No, you're John. Yes.
Okay.
So as John, I would look at Divya, physically look at the chair as if Divya is sitting there. And now think, what are my thoughts about Divya? What do I believe about Divya? What do I hate about Divya for that matter? What do I not like about Divya? And if I have to build a good relationship, what will I have to change? Okay. So these are specific things that you have to think on chair number 2. And then you go back to chair number 1, which is Divya. And absorb all of these suggestions. What does John doesn't like about me? That is what I can avoid doing in front of John, right? I don't have to change myself as a person, But of course, I could tweak some of my actions which John doesn't like. For example, John is my boss and he gives me my salary. I could always tweak my behavior, right? If he doesn't like that. Then I would also know John's beliefs, right? So why does he feel about the way that he does about me, right? So what are his reasons? And how could I make it right? So I've had a client, I would just share one.
Sorry, step one is your Divya and you, think about your situation. Step two is your John.
Right.
Step three is your Divya again.
Yes.
And in each step you move physically.
You move physically, yes. You stand up, physically, you place a chair in front of yourself, and then you come back, you absorb those suggestions, and you also visualize how will you act in future. This is called future pacing. Okay.
Future pacing. Okay.
If you don't do, this is the most essential step, future pacing.
So step three. Step three is future pacing.
Final step. Okay. Yeah. So you visualize yourself in a real situation when you're in office or maybe in front of that person.
So Divya has John in front of her.
Right. So how are you acting out? How are you understanding John? How are you making this relationship right in real scenarios? So this is what is going to now tell your subconscious mind how to behave, how to change your actions, because everything is being done by the subconscious. Right now, by future pacing and visualizing, you're just giving commands to your subconscious.
Yeah. Sorry for interrupting. You were giving an example.
Yeah, I was just talking about my client. So he was having such an issue. Okay, so he goes by the name. I won't reveal his name. So he's based in the US. He's an IT professional. He was having a very bad time with his boss. So now we did this with him, and then he goes to the chair, and I could. Would you believe I could see real difference in his expressions? He was literally behaving like that person. His body language changed. And he was like sitting in a different manner, and again his emotions changed, and he was speaking in a different tone. I won't say that his voice differed, but his tone was different. And then he was, when I asked him to talk to the person in front of him, which was my client, so he was an authoritative person. He started giving him suggestions. He started telling him things that he doesn't like about that guy, And then when he got back to his chair, he absorbed those suggestions. And then he said, Divya, I really want to thank you for this, but I really understand why he's so pissed off at me. And he recalled an event which happened 3 years back. There was this situation that had happened at their work, and the boss had accused this person for all the things that had gone wrong. And now he was in guilt of it. This boss. For giving this person a very tough time. But now how this helped this client of mine is that he now has an understanding. Now he can act out of a place where he understands his boss, and he can, change his behaviors, and he can tweak his reactions and actions. And then they can always, resolve their conflicts. At least one person has that clarity.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me something. Does this technique work always, or are there times when it may not work?
It works always. So even I would like to suggest these people, your participants, they can do it right now also. They can grab a chair and, I have tried it even in personal situations myself where, I'm trying hard to understand maybe somebody who I'm not getting, right?
Okay.
And then I would just stand, rub off my arms and not be this person which I am, and then go to their chair and then sit there, spend some time in their mind. I'm not entering their mind, but I'm entering their mind in a way. So I would spend some time and I would come back, and I would have such a deeper understanding about their behaviors and their reactions. It's just unbelievable.
So you're saying on their own people can do this?
Yes, on their own they can.
How much time should they be spending on each chair?
Okay, you can probably, for the people who are not doing it with a coach, I would suggest you write some questions and keep them handy before doing it. Because when there is a facilitator or a coach in front of you, they can always ask questions, which can make the process easy. Yeah. But those people who are doing it alone or by themselves, they can keep few questions handy. What is it that you would like to ask the person in front of you? And by the end of this specific technique you're completed, you will have those answers in your consciousness.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how often should you be doing this?
Sudhi, I won't suggest that you do it often, because then you try to hijack things or maybe people's mind. Then it kind of becomes uncontrollable, I would say, because not a lot of people, Sudhi, I would tell you, know how to do it on their own. So I would suggest that you do it with a facilitator, or somebody like that, because then sometimes you also might feel that you are not being able to come out of that situation. Once you understand those people's mind, you might also go in guilt and things like that, and you don't know how to come out of it, right? This has also happened. So a facilitator would help you come out of it. Yeah. And explain how it's not your fault or something like that.
So do it on a need basis.
Exactly. When you're having a real bad time with somebody, and there just should be 2 or 3 people that you do this about. Not everybody do you start positioning.
Perceptual positioning.
Yeah.
It's a very good point. There are a few comments that I'm seeing in the chat box. Okay. Can you also see them? Do you want to take them?
Yeah.
I have 2 questions. Yeah.
Okay.
Bhaskar has something. You can just go for it.
Okay, most of the time, without knowing our own ability, we hesitate to do many things. Most of the time, we are not showing our original talent potential by thinking others should not laugh on us. How can we come out of these blocks? Right, Bhaskar, this is an amazing question. My answer to this would be, it comes with self-awareness, Bhaskar, and self-acceptance. So when you're saying that other people could laugh at you, this is when you are seeking validation from others. But when you have a very deep and very positive self-esteem and self-confidence, then you won't be seeking validation for your acts from others. Then you would feel confident in your own space, in your own acts, and then you know why are you doing what you're doing. Right? For example, if we take an example in a workplace, so somebody who has very good speaking abilities, but doesn't want to speak, thinking that he might offend his or her seniors. Then this could be coming out of, again, I would talk about one of my clients. So, Suti, what had happened basically was she was not able to speak in front of her seniors. And then in therapy, she realizes that there is a constant voice in her head that is, giving suggestions, subtle suggestions to her. Good girls don't speak in public.
Okay. Good girls don't speak in public.
In front. Yeah. Right. So we went deeper into this. This is called ego states, parent ego states, child ego states, and adult ego states, which are in your subconscious mind again. Every single suggestion that you have ever got in life has been recorded in the subconscious. Okay. It could be your parents saying it. It could be your peer group saying that to you. But these suggestions have been recorded, and your brain keeps on playing these time and again whenever they're needed. So she realizes that this is her mother's voice. Good girls don't speak in public. Now she always develops a cold feet whenever there is a conference or anything, but she's a very good orator otherwise. She's a very good communicator. So when we went deeper into this, she has the awareness of where is this limiting belief coming from, and then we were able to transmute it. So it is really important, I would say, Bhaskar, to realize where are these coming from. Okay, you could have been told this in your childhood. Most of these limiting blocks go back to age 1 to 7, where you were given suggestions either by your parents, by your older siblings, by your grandparents, or anything like that. So don't show your authentic self could be one suggestion that was given to you, and it could have been tweaked. So it could, it's not necessary that it was given in this specific manner, but maybe whenever you tried to show your real self, you were asked not to. So you can trace back these limiting blocks to age 1 to 7. Mostly they are hidden there. And then you can come out of a place of confidence. Or else, if you don't want to go into the past, you can use affirmations. Okay, I am my confident self. It is safe for me to show myself, my true self. So you could write these affirmations and speak them in front of the mirror. That is going to rewire your subconscious again. That's what I would say.
Very true. And there's a very good point that Bhaskar asks. So I don't want others to laugh at me.
Right.
Okay. So maybe, so is it possible, and we can't be sure, but is it possible that maybe at some point in life he has had some experience, maybe as a child, where someone or a group of people or whoever laughed at him, and that's why
Right.
that has become very important.
Definitely, Sudhi. All of what we are saying is, reflective of what are our deepest beliefs. When we want somebody to not laugh at us, this might be very, very important to us. Okay. So this is what is reflecting and coming on surface. These are the most deeply rooted things in us. So yeah, you're very correct in saying that he might have had people who were laughing. I have faced bullying, and it was kind of torturing me till the age of 24 when I started doing my inner work. So it was bad. So but then you ultimately have to face the shadows in order to
So in Bhaskar's case now, what should he do?
Right. So again, like I said, Sudhi he could be doing affirmations in front of the mirror, because some people don't want to go back into the past to do inner child healing work and subconscious reimprinting, right? So affirmations give suggestions to your subconscious. What happens is, what are our beliefs have been created by repetitive thoughts. Okay. And repetitive thoughts are the words that we are saying time and again, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So you say these words to yourself, they become thoughts, and then they ultimately are taken as suggestions by your subconscious. Then your beliefs change. Once your beliefs change, your actions change, and once your actions change, your destiny changes. That's how you change your entire life. Yeah. So
an affirmation could be, I am talented, I have potential, and I'm going to show it.
No. So he would need to say something like, it is safe for me to show my talented self or show my authentic self in front of public, because there is a fear that's associated. So for every fear, you use some words like safe, protected, loved, directed, things like that. So for every negative word, you convert that into a positive state.
So Bhaskar can write this statement or say it every day, what you just explained.
Yeah, every day. So maybe you have a routine which you follow, morning or evening routine. So even for me, I keep this mirror, very small mirror. So what I do is, I keep my affirmations and I read it in front of the mirror. That has a deeper impact on your subconscious, because you're giving suggestions to yourself and your mind. So that's really powerful. Yeah.
I've seen such small mirrors, but I've never seen it being used in the way you just described. That's really nice.
So this technique was given by Louis Hay. She was a very powerful person. I always admire, and I don't know where does she come in my conversations every time. So wonderful. She was a lady who healed herself from cancer by giving suggestions to her subconscious. Wow. Cervical cancer. Yeah.
Pallavi has a question. How do we understand, like in your case, what are John's beliefs about Divya? How will you get, as for I didn't understand the rest of the question.
Okay.
So question is, see, going back to the perceptual positions, Divya and John. So you are sitting in Divya's chair, you are Divya, that's cool. You go to John's chair. Now, how does this work? How will you know what John really thinks about Divya?
Okay. So for this, maybe I have to work one-on-one with somebody. Or Sudhi, if I can ask you some question, okay? So can you recall any small argument that you've had with a friend of yours, maybe in the past? Can you recall of a argument that you blamed somebody for something?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I want you to think from their perspective. So you become this person, and why did you do what you do? Just take a minute and think. Why did you do what you did to Sudhi?
Yeah.
Do you have any reasons to do it as the second person?
Yes, certainly.
Okay. So, Sudhi, Sudhi, do your feelings change, or maybe your opinion, or maybe your hurt? Does it lighten up a little by knowing? This was very quick, but then,
Yeah. I know it will take a little time for me to, but yes. getting into that other person's shoes
exactly.
and just being there, yes, it will make me think differently.
Exactly.
It will make me think from his or her perspective.
Right.
In this case, it was the he. Yeah.
Okay. So this would not work very effectively as long as you are sitting in Sudhi's chair. Okay.
Yes.
So the body and mind, they are linked. Okay. So when you shift those chair, right? So you are also shifting your perspective. You're physically shifting your perspective. So maybe you are seeing from the front. This person is seeing, from left. You're seeing from the right. Okay. So when the perspective shifts, your subconscious mind has got different perspectives. Okay.
Correct,
so it can change the, the information that it is grabbing also.
Okay.
When you're going through a road, okay, so you don't notice a lot of signboards. But in hypnosis, if you go, you can recall each and every single thing that you saw on the road. Okay. Your subconscious mind has got everything, right?
So you're saying we have the ability to think about that from the other person's perspective when we actually move into that chair.
Yes.
We do it.
Right. So there are trillions of bits of information that our mind is grabbing at all times, but we can't process all of that information. So that's all in the back end. Okay, but it's stored. So you can, of course, enter into John's chair if you, want to.
Yeah. Sanjeev asks, but there are people who don't want to change or work with their ability. So basically he has people working for him, and some of them don't want to change, or they don't want to work or perform to their potential. So what does he do?
Right. Okay. So what is his name?
Sanjeev Sharma.
Sanjeev, how this works is you change yourself. Okay, you can't change anybody. You change yourself, and you take the situation. For example, in this situation, for example, people are working under you, and they're not wanting to work to their maximum potential. What can you do about the situation now? Can you convince them into working to their potential or not? This is again about communication. Communicate to them, how will they benefit, and how will, if you benefit, again in turn, how will they benefit from you being benefited? Okay. So human mind, there are two portions, the limbic system or the reptilian brain, which has not evolved, and there is a neocortex. Okay. The limbic system will always be interested in pleasure, survival, and fun. Okay. So you need to give
pleasure,
them
survival, and
fun.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want to give them chocolates all the time. Why should they be working for you? Or why should they be interested in exploring their potential? Because the limbic system, it wants to have pleasure. Why would they want to work? They're getting their salaries. Yeah. What is their good? What is it? What is in it for them? That's how you have to show it to them. So you could talk about, again, everything comes down to communication. You have to be an effective communicator. Put yourself in their shoes, understand what are their needs, and if you were that person, what would motivate you to work for you, right? So as this person X, for example, X is your employee. Now you enter into X's shoes and understand what are his needs and desires and what are his motivations, and then you come back to your position and then give them suggestions on those basis.
Okay. So for example, if I am Sanjeev's team member and I'm not doing what Sanjeev is thinking I should, okay, then maybe it could be because of a family situation, or I've got interested in something else which is not job related. So there could be, or I could be going through some challenges, or I could just not be aware of the fact that I have Sanjeev thinks that I can do more, and it really is possible. There could be all these different possibilities.
Exactly. So when Sanjeev has this, awareness that Sudhi might be, going through a family situation. So now it is Sanjeev's call if he wants to keep you or let you go, right? Okay. That becomes his call. That if he wants to give you more time to come out of the trauma or not. And if you're interested in something else, what does he want to do with you? Does he want to spend more time in training and developing you and convincing you into working hard or not? So that becomes, you come into an empowered state of taking decisions then.
So you are no longer helpless. Sanjeev is no longer helpless that Sudhi is like this. Sanjeev knows what he needs to do.
Right.
So Devashish asks, while doing a role play, one may end up making wrong assumptions about the other person this might lead to wrong conclusions. How is this managed? And further he asks, is there a reason for having a facilitator?
Right. Yeah. That's why I was saying, Suzy, that was a very important aspect to it. You might be with wrong questions, and if you're already in a very emotionally charged state and you are doing perceptual positions, you might not end up at right conclusions at that point. That's why it's really important to have a facilitator. But she's correct in saying, sometimes it is not manageable when you make wrong conclusions about a lot of things. Because you might already be expecting those bad things from that person, right? And then you don't know what's the difference between your gut and what's the difference between mind created stories. You don't understand a lot of times. So also in hypnotherapy, it is done sometimes when some people just can't get out of their heads, So there might be a trance states that's induced, You might be in order to get you out of your personality. When you're too much into pain and trauma and everything, somebody has inflicted on you.
Yeah. And, along similar lines, Santosh Patil has a very intense question. I was not able to speak in front of people. When I was a child, I was unable to read what was written on paper. You just had to read, okay? Yeah. And there were 500 students. And from that day, I always feared speaking in front of people.
Exactly. Right. Okay. So this might have been anchored in his mind. Okay. So what happens is our body and mind are completely related. So I will just give a quick example. When you have anxiety, okay, so you might also have you might start to have sweaty palms, or might be a shaking body, vibrations in your body, uneasiness in your stomach, right? And when there is fear, you have blood rush to your feet, in your legs, so that you can fly, right? Fight or flight response. Same in anger, your face goes red, and you have a lot of blood gushing to your arms, so that you can punch somebody. These are all survival mechanisms that have come as a part of evolution. Okay.
Yes.
So all of these, for example, you faced this as a child, so your body has stored it, right? So
stored the memory.
Now it won't. So how your body is understanding this is, it was an uneasy situation, and your body is your friend. It doesn't want you to get into the uneasy situation again. It thinks as soon as you go into speaking in front of people, you might be feeling uneasy again, and you might not be able to speak. So it doesn't want to let you go into that bad situation in the first place, right? It wants to protect you. But you need to switch off your flight and fight response. I am okay. It is okay for me to show myself in public. Again, affirmations could work. Again, there are techniques to work around this. So, like I said, the body and the mind response have been cleaned on together. There are ways to break this connection that has been made when he was a child. So, there are techniques to work through that also.
Okay. Can you give one? We needn't go into the detail. Maybe Santosh and the others can read about it later. Which technique would probably be relevant for Santosh in this case?
Okay. So, what I would say, Sudhi, for this is collapsing the anchors.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Santosh, make a note, collapsing the anchor. Anchoring is a concept, fundamental concept that each one of us should know. The next step is then how you collapse the anchor. It's really, really good. Yeah. And for those of you who have been around for a while and who have read about psychology, who understand mindset and other techniques, maybe you may have heard of something called as NLP, that is neuro linguistic programming, and Divya is an expert in it. Some of the things that she's been saying comes from NLP. Okay, so if I'm correct, Divya, a lot of it you're alluding to is NLP techniques, right? So anchoring is a very, very critical concept in NLP. Okay, Anil Survase asks, what if we are not confident about our English communication, though we are very strong at the conceptual level? So he understands the concept very well, but English communication is a challenge.
Right. Okay. Again, I'm reminded of a case with my client, Sudhi. So, English communication, when somebody said, so this specific English word, this has a meaning for them, right? So why only English communication? So some people might have judged you for this language, or you might have had faced aversion, something like that. So you need to trace it and then go back to the roots of it, and then identify, and then you can start, working about it.
Yes. I can.
Okay, so I need to go back and scroll up for.
Yeah, I can share a personal story here, Divya. Can I do that?
Yeah.
Just a personal story. So I come from a small town, and English was a big struggle. And once I had gone to visit some relatives in Bangalore, and then I think I must be in my seventh standard or sixth or seventh standard. And then there was this girl. Okay, yeah, she was pretty, and she spoke to me. She started speaking to me, and then I spoke in English, and she started laughing. Okay, and I asked her what happened. She said, "Your English is so wrong," and then she went away. That was my heart just exploded at that point, and thankfully it had the right kind of impact, because then I decided that I need to improve on my English. Of course, I felt bad at that point, but that was one motivation. So a humiliating experience at that age changed my behavior. So until then I was okay with the kind of English that I spoke, but because of she laughing at me, it helped me focus a lot more, and from then on my English has improved a lot. So that's another experience I've had.
And it is wonderful now. So this reminded me of an event from which was a major event, even in my life, Sudhi. So even I am from a small town, so I went to Hansraj University of Delhi, so for my graduation, and I wasn't very well versed, and I wasn't very good at English again. So I used to see everybody; they are very fluent, and so there. This day where we have a presentation, okay, I ruined the entire presentation for the entire group just because of my communication skills. And and just because I had not prepared, thinking that I will be able to speak in English just like that, but that didn't happen. And again, I was going back, and there was this urge to learn English no matter what. Sam, dam, danda, bhed, whatever I can do, I will do it to learn English, because I felt so humiliated and so so small in front of these people who could speak so fluently. That is when I didn't even have an idea that I'm doing something from NLP, but I did it. I was future pacing. Okay, I was imagining myself on a stage where I am speaking fluently in English. I didn't know how to do it. And then I started, this random idea came to my mind that I have to think in English. Whatever I'm thinking, because there are 100 thoughts coming to my mind every minute. What I have to do is switch these thoughts from language Hindi to language English. That's it. And then I did it for 2 years. And then ultimately I was in Amity, and I saw myself speaking in a stage. It was a business plan competition. That is when, Sudhi, I realized that this exact moment was what I was visualizing always. Yeah, I was speaking so fluently that I had not even realized that the D-Day has come for me. The ultimate goal has been achieved. So yeah, I was unconsciously, but training my mind to do that. Yes.
Very nice. So can you check the questions?
Yeah. So your body language, eyes are reflecting difference while you thought about other person. Okay, so when we did perceptual positions for that person, I think.
Asha, with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
They noticed the difference. Yeah. Amazing audience. I just want to appreciate them. I easily get irritated, Tushar says, when I see people are not putting required efforts. How to get out of it? Again, Tushar, you need to understand their worldview. Just like we had discussed, we've answered this, I think.
Can I just add to what Tushar has to say?
Okay, sure.
Just add to what you had to say, Tushar. So my experience, Tushar, was that when I was an employee, and at times whenever I was not very happy with the work, then my effort level and my intensity would always sag. And but as I grew mature, then it started changing. Then I was less and less impacted by how others behaved, how my organization or my boss treated. In fact, I posted a video on Facebook just a little while ago. You can check that out. And then, furthermore, what I've seen is that once I became an entrepreneur, that was 2 years ago, that is on my own completely, my enthusiasm and my energy never goes down. Okay, so I'm still the same person, but just by changing my mindset, I have been able to, improve or increase my intensity and focus immensely just by changing the mindset. So maybe, if you can get the people that you're working for to also see things the way you do, from the benefits,
Right.
the fruits, whatever the future that you see for yourself, if you can make
Right.
them also see the same thing, then that could be magic for them.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Very true. Yeah. Yeah. This is also a part of image management, Sudhi. I would say, you have to get across those people's mind. What are you projecting to them? What are they perceiving out of you? Yeah. Great. Okay, so another question is, could you refer any book along with author's name that explains perception positioning concept more deeper? So Shweta, yeah, you could read any NLP book. All the NLP books explain this concept. But again, I would say that do not restrict yourself to this specific concept, which is perceptual positioning. But this is more a part of empathy. So you could read any book on empathy. That is a wider, umbrella term for this perceptual positioning.
And there are also some very good YouTube videos on this.
Yeah, yeah.
With demos. Yeah.
As you could, yeah, that's right. Steve Andreas is one person who you could, visit on YouTube.
Steve Andreas.
STEVE ANDREAS.
Okay.
Steve
Yeah,
Andreas.
I'll put it in the chat. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Right. Okay, how to do eye contact with boss as well as colleagues while communicating. I am facing difficulty on this. How to do eye contact with boss as well as colleagues while communicating. Okay, I'm facing difficulty on this. Right. So, okay, this question is by, not seeing their name, Mahendra. Okay. So Mahendra, eye contact has to do a lot with your meta programming. By meta programming, I mean how your brain has been wired. Okay. Some people, they are very visual. Some people are auditory in nature. Some people can imagine better. Some people can feel better. Some people can hear better. So when it comes to eye contact, this could be related with your visual meta programming. Some people are not visual, and it does not have to do anything with your confidence or anything like that. Some people are just not visual at all, and they don't want to make eye contacts. And it's nothing wrong, but when you say how to do it, that is when it shows intent of you wanting to do it, right? So you can learn to do it by practicing. And that's in front of mirror. Again, you can first match yourself in the, you can look at yourself in the mirror. So it will come with practice. It's like a muscle. Just like we are developing physical muscles, we are also developing these mental muscles, and it comes with practice. Some people have just not been taught since childhood to make an eye contact.
Yes.
Girls generally are told to not have an eye contact,
especially conservative families.
Exactly. I can remember that happening to my friends in childhood, and I can remember it very vividly that they won't make an eye contact. They're not good in front of the camera, but it's not got anything to do with you not being a good communicator or anything like that. But if you want to do it, you can practice for it.
And maybe you are in a boss or a colleague or a senior could be intimidating, so you may want to start with someone who is a friend, a family member. So there you feel much safer.
Right. Yeah. That's why I said mirror, because that's the easiest that you can
mirror.
Or you can start recording videos of your own in the camera. That's how you also to do
that works. You may not want to publish it, but just recording itself is a good experience.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Okay. So then we have. Okay. I can correlate many senior management people calmly observing me in boardroom. Thanks, Divya, for unfolding NLP. Yeah, that happens a lot. So even in army, even for these services, there is always there nowadays there is always a senior practitioner that's sitting. who's observing you and looking at your meta programs and seeing how your eyes move, how your body language is changing, so they can judge you better. Right. Any quick help to control anger? It suddenly get up if things don't move as per my plan, suggestion, order. Okay. So Naveen is asking this question. So emotions are a very concept to touch upon. Even our bodies have remembered every certain thing in a certain manner. So when I say mango, maybe yellow comes automatically to your mind, right? When I say rain, that wet feeling of being drenched or something like that, or an umbrella, they come automatically because they have been placed together by your mind. Okay? So even when you say some emotions, when you say anger, there might be certain feeling that's associated. So I have put a video on my YouTube channel so that I can give access to that specifically on anger. Yeah. Which talks about how can you transmute this feeling. How can you get access to this feeling? So this client of mine, he had serious anger issues, and he used to see his anger as a snake coiled in his chest. Okay. So you have to give a metaphor. Okay, in order to transmute these feelings, give a metaphor to your anger or whatever emotion you want to change. Give a metaphor, work with it. So for him, it was a snake which was very tightly coiled, green in color, and it was very heavy. Okay, so what you do is try to reduce the weight of this snake, change the color to a color that is more soothing to you. This is how you are rewiring your subconscious. Right? When you change this image that has been associated, the feeling associated with it also changes. Okay. So for example, if I ask you to change the color of the mango to blue, maybe you don't salivate that much. You don't have that urge. Yeah. So that's how when you change images in your mind, your feelings also change. So I can give access to my YouTube.
So please do, and I'll post it in our community.
Okay. You want me to do it right now, Siddhi?
If you can do it right away, that would be wonderful. Sure, I will anyways post it in the community group as well. Okay. So you can post
just
it right
give
away.
Me one second. Could you refer any book along with author's name? Okay, we've covered this. I have fear to talk to my super boss, how to overcome the fear. You have to identify where is this fear coming from. Okay, so is this fear coming from maybe you're not skilled at something which is very practical to deal with, or it could be coming as a deeply rooted fear that has always been there in you whenever you come in front of people. So you have to identify. There are different kind of fears also. It could be just a very tentative fear that you are not well prepared and it is coming. Your mind and your body will always give you that. Okay, so that you can evolve or can become better. So fear will try to tell you subconsciously that you need to improve. The idea is always to evolve and become a better version of yourself. So you need to identify what is this fear trying to teach you. Okay, what is the positive intention of this fear being inside your system. That is when you identify and you work on those. So for every negative emotion, how can you transmute it? Is by identifying what is the positive intention of this negative emotion being in your system, and what can you learn from this negative emotion, and then you transmute it into something positive. Okay. Again, Ravi is saying I'm a bit aggressive during my presentations. Again, this aggression might be trying to teach you something, might be trying to point at something. It is because you're wanting to be better or something like that. You've associated anger with being a good orator or being a good presenter, something like that. So you have to identify what is it that's for you. We have a lot of questions, Sudhi.
Can it also be a defense mechanism?
It could always, it's two things. It could be a defense mechanism, like I shared. Fear could be trying to save you from something or trying to teach you something. Again, like aggression, it could also be a defense mechanism. When you are speaking loudly, that is you're trying to protect yourself maybe from the queries or questions or interrogation. A lot of times it happens. So there is this very common saying, Sudhi, that says whenever you're fighting with somebody, why do you get louder? Why do you start shouting? because the distance it increases from that person, and you want to reach to them. That is why you start speaking loudly. Yeah, very to introspect on. So you need to understand those people who are very empathetic are always soft spoken.
Yes.
Because they think that they can reach to you even if they're speaking very softly.
Correct. Yeah.
That is when they understand you. So if you understand other people, you don't have to be loud.
Yeah.
Do you? Okay. Do you really think talking in front of mirror with ourselves works? Is it any kind of therapy? Yes. This is by Bhaskar only. Yeah. Bhaskar, yes. This is a kind of therapy. Again, subconscious reprogramming. So it has a very positive impact on when you're giving yourself suggestions. When you give suggestions to yourself through affirmations, your subconscious mind might take time, but when you're doing it in front of a mirror, it understands better. So you can read about this. Again, Louis Hay has done a lot of work on this. Dr. Joe Dispenza has done a lot of work on this. Again, Tony Robbins talks a lot about this. Catherine Zenkina, these are mindset coaches who have transformed millions of lives. You can read about their work, and it shows how mirror work works for subconscious reprogramming. Yeah. Okay. Steve
Atul says vocabulary is the main concern in English.
Okay. So you need to check, Atul, how your level of readiness in learning vocabulary. Okay, there are a lot of people, to be very honest, if I tell you, Atul, in my circle, who don't have a very good vocabulary, but the way that they speak in, their confidence, it changes over time. So if for you vocabulary is something, then you need to ask yourself, do you want to learn it or not? And then you can take your call. But I would say in any kind of communication, it is always the intent that is most important, right? So there are three basic things I would say are most important in an effective communication. One is you need to be very conscious of the outcome that you want from it. Okay, so if I want to convince somebody, okay, I always need to have this in my mind, that I want to convince this person. That is how my actions, my vocabulary will always be in alignment with my future desired outcome. Intention. Or else I would I would just blabber out things. I could get angry on this person, and then I would never get my desires done. Yes. So the first important aspect in any communication is to have a right intent and keep your eyes on it. What is your intention of having this communication? Second, you understand how the person in front of you is behaving, and third is to tweak your actions and behaviors according to the results that you're getting. If the second person is not behaving nicely, in accordance with your desire, then you need to change your patterns. Because ultimately it's about the end goal for communication. You're not communicating for nothing, right? So you always need to have an intention in mind, right?
Correct. Deepak has a unique situation. He comes from a sales background, and he gets anxious while reporting certain dispute or topic which may sound like a complaint. So he says that I communicated positively and take care it is given in a constructive manner, but that puts an internal pressure on him. So is there a way to ensure that he doesn't burst someday? So and it won't affect his body language.
Right. Okay. So this question is by Deepak. Okay. So Deepak, have you had in history that you were always taught to be nice to other people and not hurt their feelings? Can you tell me? Because there can be two situations to this. So a lot of times when it happens is it's our parents teaching us that in childhood to be nice to people, not hurt their feelings.
You're talking of a people pleaser?
Yes. Okay. These people, they can't say no. So I would suggest something called this technique.
I'm the eldest of the family is what Deepak says.
Okay. Right. So have you been told by your parents to behave nicely with others? and not be rude, maybe. Okay, yeah, yes, he has been. See, it is coming from there. So I would suggest something called so I will just give an example. I don't want to confuse you with different techniques, so I will just give you an example. So let's say somebody is coming to you and saying, hey, can you please help me with this work? And they know that you can't say no to them. Okay, you are a people pleaser, you can't say no to them. So you can go with this pattern. You praise them, you first, and then you say a no. How can you do it is, hey, see, I love helping people. I love helping people, and I would love to help you, but lately I have been feeling overwhelmed, so I might have to say no this time.
Okay. Right? Yeah. So you're still nice to start with, but you ended by saying a no.
Exactly.
So sugarcoating the message.
And this, I tell you, is sugarcoating your brain also. Your brain will not have that dissonance now. Oh, okay. I was so them, I just vented out.
How could I say no?
Exactly. Okay. That's more for yourself than others. Okay. Yeah. And I wish I could, but not this time.
Yeah. Is it okay if we go over by a few minutes? Divya, first of all, is it okay with you? Because this conversation is really taking off, and
I'm loving it.
Yeah. So people, I'm hoping that it's okay with you guys as well, because we are nearly done with time, but there are still a lot of things in the chat box. So what Prashant says is, my question is, I can't talk to people when I meet them. I only have few questions every time, like how are you, what are you doing? Post this, I don't have anything to talk, and due to this, I don't meet people as I make them bore, which I felt, and same as I heard from people. How can I become talkative and expressive? Basically, I think what Prashant means is that he asks, how are you and what are you doing? And then no more questions, and then people probably perceive him as someone who is not so interesting. So what can he do about it?
Yeah. So this might be coming from self-doubt. Okay. So when people are told repetitively, that I get bored around you, it could be an important that to you, that you bore me, you are not an interesting person, or you might be thinking that everybody around me is interesting and I'm not. So you are kind of always judging yourself, right? So you have to first get into that space of self-confidence, boost your self-esteem, work on yourself, get that self-awareness. Stop thinking about other people first. First, you have to get yourself right. Heal yourself from this specific situation, because that's not a good place to be in. This is very, being low on self-esteem and self-confidence, because you're saying that you can't talk to people, you only have a few questions. Then you need to first convince yourself that you're not a boring person. Whatever negative connotations you have given to yourself, it could be boring, it could be, an introvert. Some people relate this with, being very, what I'm missing upon that term, what they call it, but yeah. So you need to identify that you say to yourself, and then delete them from your vocabulary. Okay. When you're talking about that, you're telling others. Okay. That has to change. That is when your responses will also change. So negative self-talk has to stop first. Everything else will come second. You need to get into that confident place first.
Yeah. Rohit says The Remembering Self versus the Experiencing Self by Daniel
Kahneman. Yeah.
Kahneman. Yeah. Is this the one that you are referring to?
Yeah, exactly. So there are different versions of self that Daniel talks about, and he's done some amazing work in the field of psychology, I tell you. So it's again not that exactly remembering self or the experiencing self. This goes into self concept deeper, but then okay. So I was more talking about how do you perceive yourself. I don't know where is this coming from. This could be coming from our previous conversation. I'm not getting exact reference to the question.
That's okay.
About this perceptual positions, then I'm more talking about how you perceive yourself in your head.
Okay. And there's an interesting question. When you think something should not come in your mind, it always comes. How do you control this?
Okay, so can you so can all of us just stop, can we close our eyes and not think of monkeys right now? Do not think of dancing monkeys who are hanging on trees.
Not possible.
Right? So that's not possible. your subconscious mind doesn't understand no. So when you say I don't want to be unhealthy, that is what you become. When you say poor, that's what you become. So you can't control this no. Your brain doesn't know how to. We have not evolved that much yet. So this no doesn't go as a command. So rather what you can do is change the commands. So when you say that I don't want to be unhealthy, you shift that to I want to be healthy, because that's what your mind understands. That's all it can understand. It can only take positive messages, and that's why we always give affirmations in positive statements. Yeah. So you can't stop thinking negative things, but you can replace them with positive ones.
One comment is all parents will tell to children to behave well and be pleasant to others. This refers to what you were saying about people pleasing.
Okay, but Devashish, I wouldn't say that a conscious parent would do that.
I don't. See, I tell I taught my daughter to be very nice to people, very cordial and all that. But I tell her always don't suffer fools and never suffer in silence. So these are two things that I've told her.
Very important.
And so she's very nice and everything. But if there is something which is going against her will, I know earlier she used to be a people pleaser and just accept quietly, but now she doesn't. So therefore, she doesn't have to deal with nonsense.
Right. The previous generation might not have had this awareness, and we are not to blame them. But since we have this awareness, we need to treat our children in a different manner. We need to raise them in a different manner. We don't want to make them suffer from the same trauma that we have suffered.
Correct. Yeah. And Ekta asks how to create more followers at the workplace.
Right. Okay. So, Ekta, I would say that again, the vibe thing that we've talked about. Nikola Tesla, he has this saying. He says, if you want to understand the universe, understand it in terms of energy, frequency, and vibrations. That's all there is. So you increase your energy, raise your vibrations, and stay at a frequency where everybody resonates with you.
Okay. So this is the same Nikola Tesla, the Tesla cars. It's named after him.
Right? Tesla coil, alternate current. Yes. So the genius Nikola Tesla. Yeah. So you have to exhibit energy, change your vibrations to a higher vibration. Okay, and that is and the frequency which everybody can match to. Okay, so if you're a loner who doesn't talk to people, you might not have a good followership.
Correct.
And if you understand people, you be around them, you can resonate to their problems and their happinesses also. And you're always acting out of good energy. I'm not asking you to exhaust yourself trying to, always be high on energy. That's not what I'm asking you to. But stay at an optimal level where people can, see that you're interested. Okay. And then you're guiding them to an agenda that is common to their personal motives and also to the work, right? That would Sudhi will tell you the best about this. What leaders do, they guide you towards the same agenda that everybody is working towards,
and make you feel as if it was your idea.
It was your personal. Exactly.
Very true.
Yeah.
And okay, Rohit has clarified that Daniel Kahneman theory was for an older conversation. I was trying to say that we have a memory of an incident based on an unpleasant experience we've had. Even if everything else was fine, we remember it based on that experience. That shapes our perception about a particular thing.
Right.
Makes sense, right?
Based on unpleasant experience we've had, even if everything else was fine, we remember it based on that experience. That shapes our perception about it. So if I say what material this is, okay, so you would say it's a metal. If I give you, a plastic, you would recall it's a plastic, or a wood, a glass, a glass. Why? Because at certain time in past, you have labeled it as wood, glass, plastic. Yes. Our brain is always taking reference from the past and acting out of it.
Correct.
Yeah. So even if things are not that bad, but if you experience that in the past as a bad experience, your mind will still behave in that manner.
There's one question from the Q&A box that I have is, I heard to write all negative things and burn those or tear that paper. Which movie was it? Jab We Met.
Jab we met.
Does this really help?
It's
If
a
yes,
very
how many
powerful
times?
technique.
So just write all the damn negative things and burn the bloody paper. Does it work?
It's a very powerful technique, Sudhi, I tell you. Very, very powerful one. So first, writing things down, it's actually like purging. When you physically purge, your body gets emptied. When you write, your mind gets emptied. Important to do. I write every single day. I can't do without it. I am an introvert. Introverts are not, first to make it clear, introverts are not those people who don't talk to people. Okay. These are the people who get energy from going within. Right. So I am an introvert and I get my energy from going within myself by self introspection, and writing is a part of my everyday routine. If I don't write, I feel less on energy and everything.
So if you're an introvert and you've spoken so much today, for the next 7 days you'll go into Maun Vrat, is it?
No, it is not like that, Sudhi.
I'm just kidding.
It's not like, yeah. No, I want to make it clear because some people have these limiting beliefs that introverts don't talk. Yes, introverts are not social people. It's not true. I need my time. So after this session, I'm going to take a lot of time to, recharge myself by, self-introspection and things like that. But it's not that I'm not enjoying this session or something like that.
Correct, yeah. You'll probably also go back to your writing. Writing would also help you, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm going to do. But yeah, being around people is also fun. Not a lot, not all the time it is.
Yeah, but you need your me time.
Yeah, I need my me time. Yes, that's what it is. Yeah.
So I think that's about it. Those were all the questions.
Amazing, Sudhi. This is an amazing audience. I would really like to deeply appreciate and express my deep gratitude to all of you for being such a wonderful audience, and for you to having been a wonderful host, Sudhi. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Divya. It was indeed a wonderful session. We ran well over time, and it was just amazing listening to you. And folks, our people, let me tell you something. This session was decided late last week, so there was not much of planning time, and yet, Divya was able to address all the questions. She's really good. I told you right at the beginning, right? She didn't have to prepare much. So you can see the chat box, Divya. I didn't even have to ask people to thank you. It's just flooding.
Thank you, everybody.
Really grateful to you for having made the time and for having come over. Thank you, Divya. Thank you, everyone, for being there. It was an amazing session, and really grateful to Divya for having made it. So very wonderful speaking to you, Divya.